What would a successful summit look like? Let's go live now to Moscow and talk to the CEO of the Russian Direct Investment Fund, Kirill Dmitriev. Kirill, first of all, thanks for your time this morning. Really appreciate it on such an important day. What would you view as a success from this meeting of President Trump and President Putin?
Well, I think it's very important that dialogue has started, because it was so difficult to start dialogue. And we believe that now there are not so many ideological differences between Russia and the US, but lots of misunderstandings and miscalculations. So a direct dialogue between our leaders is very important. And I'll point out that World Cup just finished, and many people were very surprised by how positive the attitude was in Russia. They expected much worse, and it just showed that Russia is a positive place, and lots of people miscalculate and misunderstand Russia.
So does that mean that you and Russian investors or investors in Russia would like to see sanctions lifted sooner as a result of this meeting?
Well, I think there is no expectation that sanctions will be lifted soon. And by the way, sanctions in many ways benefited some sectors of the Russian economy. Our agribusiness grew quite a bit, and many other sectors. So I think the expectation is that it's just normal to have dialogue between Russia and the US. That's very important. We have lots of shared problems that we need to deal with, such as terrorism and other issues. So we just expect that it's a normalization of business dialogue, political dialogue, economic dialogue, because right now we're at the worst possible relations with the US that has major cost to the world economy, to US economy, and to Russian economy. And that needs to be finished. We need to have a new beginning. And hopefully this meeting will open up opportunities for this.
Good morning, it's Guy Johnson. The President of the United States has been tweeting a great deal recently about his concerns surrounding OPEC and the price of crude oil. Do you think oil's going to be on the agenda today?
Well, I think it could be, and we are very proud of the partnership we built with Saudi Arabia. It's an example of partnerships that Russia has built with Japan, with Saudi Arabia, with countries with which we've had very difficult relations even 2-3 years ago. And we were able to stabilize oil markets. We believe oil price could have been much higher as well, and Russia is not interested in incredibly high oil price. We're interested in solid oil price, and right now we have that. So oil can be in the agenda, but we believe that Russia, Saudi, and OPEC agreement is very positive for the world economy, because it gives stability for oil prices.
What do you take from the current trade debate, Kirill? I mean, what would the Russian view on this be? I'm sure you saw Donald Tusk kind of warning Trump and others that hot conflicts can arise from trade issues like this.
Well, Russia is for open trade, for open investments. We believe that any kind of violation of that principle is bad for the world economy. But we understand that the US side is saying there are some imbalances in some trade issues with Europe, with China. It's trying to correct it. Again, it's a US decision how it wants to approach it. But of course, we do see dangers of trade wars. We believe that trade wars will have negative effect for the world economy.
If you were to see sanctions lifted and you were to see the opportunity maybe for foreigners to come in and invest more in Russia, which sectors do you think you would see that investment in? There's talk maybe of US businessmen, some sort of trade trip coming to Russia. Which areas would they focus in on?
Sure. Well, first of all, I wanted to point out that sanctions really didn't work the way the Obama administration wanted them to. And basically, they wanted to isolate Russia. It didn't work. They wanted to reduce rating of president. It didn't work. So we'll see. But we already see that U.S. investors quite actively investing in agro sectors. They invested with us in fertilizer. We will announce a major entertainment investment with a U.S. partner soon. So logistics, e-commerce, lots of sectors in Russia are growing quite well, including retail and telecom. And in some of the SPOs we had in Russia, US investors were around 50% of the offerings. So once again, it's a myth that US investors are not investing right now. They are, but of course they will be investing more if there is less political pressure on doing so.
What about rates? Do you see U.S. investors going into Russian bonds because of the high return they can get there?
Well, we believe so, and lots of people made very attractive returns last year, and lots of people were doing this carry trade investment. And the Russia government is going to issue more bonds this year. We will have more debt to invest in infrastructure. So we believe debt markets are attractive to watch given the stability of Russian currency, good macroeconomic fundamentals, and good oil prices that we mentioned before.